Right now, as you sit here, something is happening inside your body that most people over 60 never find out about until it is too late. Your blood sugar is falling. Not because you are diabetic, not because anything is wrong with your diet, just because you have been awake for hours or because you had dinner at 6 and it is now 11 at night and your body has quietly burned through its fuel and there is nothing left to replace it. And here is what that triggers. Your brain sends out an alarm. Stress hormones flood your system. Cortisol, adrenaline, the same chemicals your body would release if you were being chased. In the middle of the night, while you are trying to sleep. That is why you wake up at 2 in the morning for no reason you can name. That is why you lie there staring at the ceiling, heart slightly racing, mind turning over thoughts you cannot switch off. That is why 8 hours in bed still leaves you dragging by 9 in the morning. And the cruel part? Nobody tells you this is happening. You have been to your doctor. You described the broken sleep, the morning fog, the exhaustion that coffee does not touch. And you heard the same thing most people over 60 hear. It is just aging. It is normal. Most people slow down. But here is what I know after years of working with patients in this exact situation. It is not just aging. A significant portion of what gets called age-related sleep decline is actually a blood sugar problem, a fuel management problem. And it is one of the most fixable things in your kitchen right now. There is one natural food, something that costs less than $1 and is almost certainly sitting in your pantry already, that can hold your blood sugar steady through the entire night, support your body's natural sleep hormones, help rebuild the muscle your body loses after 60, protect your heart while you rest, and reduce the inflammation that makes you stiff and foggy every single morning. I am talking about natural peanut butter. 1 to 2 tablespoons. 30 to 60 minutes before bed. That is it. Now I know how that sounds. Eating before bed is supposed to cause weight gain. Fat before sleep is bad for you. This is the kind of advice you have been told to ignore for decades. But stay with me for a moment, because what I am about to show you is not opinion. It is biology. And once you understand what your body is actually doing between midnight and 6 in the morning, this will make complete sense. Before I get into that, I want to hear from you. Type your age in the comments right now. And tell me, do you struggle to fall asleep? Or do you fall asleep fine but wake up in the middle of the night? I read every single comment. Your answer actually helps me understand what this community is experiencing, so please take 5 seconds and drop it below. Now, let me tell you about Sandra. Sandra is 67 years old. She spent 31 years as a postal worker in Virginia, walking routes in heat and cold, on her feet every single day. She raised 2 kids. She takes care of her garden. By any measure, she is a healthy woman. But for the last 3 years, her sleep had been quietly falling apart. She would fall asleep fine, 9:30, lights out. But somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, she would be wide awake. Not from a dream, not from noise, just awake, alert. Sometimes with a low-level anxiety she could not explain. She would lie there for 40 minutes, sometimes an hour, before drifting off again. Then her alarm would go off at 6 and she would feel like she had barely slept at all. She had tried melatonin. She had tried chamomile tea. She had tried cutting off screens at 8. Nothing changed. When she came to talk to me, I asked her one question that her previous doctors had never asked. What do you eat for dinner? And what time do you eat it? She told me she usually had dinner around 6. Something light. Salad, maybe a piece of chicken. She was watching her weight. I said, Sandra, I think I know what is happening. But before I explain it, let me tell you what your body is doing between midnight and 2 in the morning. Because once you see it, the solution is going to be obvious. Here's what nobody explains in a 7-minute doctor visit. After 60, your body goes through 4 significant metabolic changes that almost nobody accounts for in their bedtime routine. Change number 1. Your liver becomes less efficient at releasing stored glucose during the night. Think of your liver like a backup fuel tank. During the day, when you eat, your body fills that tank. During the night, it slowly draws from the tank to keep your brain and organs running. After 60, that release mechanism gets sluggish. The tank is there, but the pump works slower. Change number 2. Your stress hormone response to low blood sugar becomes more sensitive. This is the one that wakes you up. When your glucose drops, your body calls for help by releasing cortisol and adrenaline. After 60, this alarm system becomes hair trigger. A dip that a younger body would sleep right through is enough to jolt you awake at 65 or 70. Change number 3. Your muscle mass has declined, which means you have less glycogen storage capacity. Muscle stores glycogen, the backup fuel your body draws on when blood sugar drops. Less muscle means less storage. Less storage means you run out faster. This is why the gap between dinner and morning feels longer as you age, even if you are eating the same thing you always did. Change number 4. Your insulin sensitivity shifts. Your body takes longer to process even moderate amounts of glucose, which means the post-dinner blood sugar pattern looks different than it did 15 years ago. The curve is steeper. The drop is harder. These 4 changes stack on top of each other every single night, and what they produce is the same cycle, over and over. Dinner, gradual drop, alarm fires, cortisol floods. Eyes Open at 2 a.m. A study published in the journal Sleep Medicine Reviews found that adults over 50 experience significantly more overnight glucose variability than younger adults. And that variability was directly correlated with fragmented sleep, reduced time in deep slow-wave sleep, and elevated morning cortisol levels. Let me say that one more time. More glucose variability equals less deep sleep. Less deep sleep is not aging, it is chemistry. And chemistry can be changed. Now, here is where peanut butter comes in, and here is why it works when nothing else does. Natural peanut butter has what nutritionists call one of the lowest glycemic index scores of any whole food. That means it releases energy slowly, not a spike and a crash, not a surge followed by a sudden drop. It burns like a slow log on a fire, hour after hour after hour, holding your blood sugar in a stable range through the whole night. Its combination of protein, healthy fat, and a small amount of complex carbohydrate is exactly the right ratio for overnight fuel management. The protein signals fullness. The fat slows digestion down to a crawl, extending the release window. The carbohydrate provides just enough glucose to keep the liver from panicking and calling in the stress hormone cavalry. Research published through the American Diabetes Association found that a low glycemic food consumed 30 to 60 minutes before sleep significantly reduced overnight glucose fluctuation in adults over 50. Not slightly, significantly. The numbers moved. And once the blood sugar holds steady, something remarkable happens downstream. The cortisol stays quiet. The adrenaline never spikes. Your body stays in repair mode instead of alarm mode, and you sleep through the night. Now here is something even more interesting. And this is the part that surprised me when I first dug into the research on this. Your brain cannot make melatonin out of thin air. Most people think of melatonin as something you buy at the drugstore, a supplement, something external. But your brain manufactures its own melatonin every single night if it has the right raw materials. The chain works like this. Your brain needs an amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan converts into serotonin, the calming chemical that settles your nervous system and prepares you for sleep. Then serotonin converts into melatonin, the actual sleep hormone that signals your cells to drop into deep, restorative rest. Break that chain anywhere, and you get less melatonin. Less melatonin means lighter sleep. Lighter sleep means you feel worse in the morning, even after a full night in bed. Peanuts are a natural source of tryptophan. But here's the part that most articles on this subject skip entirely. Tryptophan competes with other amino acids to cross the blood-brain barrier. Think of the blood-brain barrier like a very selective doorman. There are many amino acids trying to get in at the same time. Tryptophan is quieter than some of the others. It gets elbowed out. But here is what healthy fats do. The fat in peanut butter changes the ratio. When you eat fat, your body prioritizes tryptophan's entry. The competition thins. The doorman waves it through. In plain terms, the fat in peanut butter helps get the sleep-building amino acid into your brain more efficiently. A study in the Journal of Psychiatric Research found that evening dietary fat intake directly supported melatonin production in older adults. The effect was meaningful, not marginal. So when you eat natural peanut butter before bed, you are not just stabilizing blood sugar. You are handing your brain the exact ingredient it needs to make its own sleep hormone, naturally, without a supplement, without a prescription, for about 80 cents. Now let me bring Sandra back. When I explained all of this to her, she sat back and looked at me like I had just told her that gravity worked differently on Tuesdays. She said, "A spoonful of peanut butter? That is the solution?" I told her, it is one part of the solution. But yes, try it for 2 weeks before you dismiss it. I want to tell you what happened, but I need to give you one more piece of critical information first, because there is a specific mineral inside peanut butter that most doctors never connect to nighttime symptoms, and it may be the most important part of this entire conversation. Stay with me. I am going to come back to Sandra in a few minutes, but first, I want to ask you something, because I am genuinely curious about what this community is experiencing. If you have ever woken up in the middle of the night with your heart beating strangely, or been jolted out of sleep by a sudden leg cramp, or noticed that you feel anxious for no reason when you first open your eyes in the morning, type YES in the comments right now. Because what I am about to tell you connects all three of those things to one deficiency, and it is almost certainly not something your doctor has mentioned. The hidden mineral that most people over 60 are not getting enough of is magnesium. 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter provide approximately 49 milligrams of magnesium, and research suggests that a significant percentage of American adults over 60 are chronically underconsuming magnesium from their daily diet. Here is why this matters so much for sleep specifically. Magnesium is sometimes called the relaxation mineral. That is not marketing language. That is biology. Magnesium activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That is the rest and digest side of your nervous system, the opposite of fight or flight. When magnesium levels are adequate, your parasympathetic system can override the stress signals, slow your heart rate, quiet your brain, and allow your body to settle into real sleep. Magnesium also regulates a neurotransmitter called GABA. Think of GABA as your brain's volume knob. It turns down the noise. It quiets the mental chatter, the spinning thoughts, the low-level anxiety that keeps so many people over 60 lying awake when they should be resting deeply. When magnesium is low, GABA cannot do its job. The volume knob is stuck at 7. And no amount of deep breathing or chamomile tea is going to fix a biochemical deficiency. Low magnesium has been strongly linked in the research literature to insomnia, nighttime leg cramps, poor sleep efficiency, irregular heart rhythm, and morning anxiety. A study published in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences found that magnesium supplementation significantly improved sleep quality, sleep duration, and morning cortisol levels in elderly adults. If you have ever woken up in the night with your calf seizing up, that leg cramp is often your body screaming for magnesium. If your heart pounds a bit strangely when you first lie down, magnesium plays a direct role in regulating cardiac electrical activity. And if you feel that low, unnamed anxiety when you wake up at 2 in the morning, that is partly the cortisol response to blood sugar and partly a magnesium-depleted nervous system that cannot calm itself back down. 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter before bed is not a cure for magnesium deficiency. Let me be clear about that. But it is a meaningful, consistent, nightly contribution toward a nutrient your body desperately needs, and most seniors are not getting enough of. Now, I also need to tell you about the anti-inflammatory benefit, because this one affects how you feel from the moment you put your feet on the floor in the morning. The monounsaturated fats in peanut butter, the same category of fat found in olive oil and avocado, have been shown to reduce what researchers call low-grade systemic inflammation. This is different from acute inflammation, the kind that happens when you twist your ankle. This is the slow, background inflammation that silently damages tissues over years and decades. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the primary biological reasons why so many adults over 60 wake up stiff, foggy, and heavy. Not because they are lazy, not because they are old, because their body spent the night in a state of quiet inflammatory stress instead of quiet repair. When you reduce that inflammation at night, even modestly, you change the morning. You wake up with less joint stiffness, better mental clarity, and a body that feels like it actually rested. Here is something I need to address directly, because I know what you are thinking. Eating before bed causes weight gain. This is one of the most persistent pieces of nutritional advice floating around, and it is not entirely wrong. But it is not entirely right either, and the distinction matters enormously. High-sugar snacks before bed, cookies, ice cream, crackers with jam genuinely do promote fat storage. They spike blood sugar. They interrupt insulin signaling. They keep your metabolism running a stress response instead of a repair response. But natural peanut butter is the opposite of that. A small protein and fat snack before bed tells your body a completely different story. It says, fuel is available. You do not need to panic. Stay in repair mode. Burn steadily. A study from Florida State University found that a small protein-rich nighttime snack of around 150 calories improved metabolic rate in the overnight period and did not contribute to fat accumulation in healthy adults. The mechanism is counterintuitive but real. When you sleep with crashing blood sugar, your body interprets it as a mild starvation signal. It slows your metabolism to conserve what little fuel it thinks you have. When you give it a small, slow-burning fuel source instead, it keeps burning steadily through the night. For adults over 60 who are watching their weight, a 2-tablespoon serving of natural peanut butter at night is not working against you. Done correctly, it may actually work in your favor. If this information is new to you, I want to ask you something right now. Hit the like button, not for me. Hit it because this channel exists for one reason: to get accurate, practical health information to people over 60 who deserve better than 7-minute appointments and generic advice. Every like tells the algorithm that someone out there needed this. And somebody's mother or father or spouse is going to find this video because you clicked it. So please take 1 second and do that now. Now. Let me take you through something about your heart, because there is a nighttime angle here that most cardiologists never mention. You have probably heard that peanut butter is high in monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, and that those fats support healthy cholesterol levels. That is true, and the evidence is strong. A landmark study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that regular nut and nut butter consumption was associated with significantly reduced risk of cardiovascular events in adults over 50. The effect persisted even when researchers controlled for other dietary factors. But here is the part that almost nobody talks about. Your blood pressure is supposed to drop during sleep. Cardiologists call this nocturnal dipping, and it is one of the most important cardiovascular events of your entire day. When your blood pressure dips overnight, your heart gets to rest. Your arterial walls get a break. Your cardiovascular system does its maintenance while the workload is low. In many adults over 60, this dip does not happen properly. The blood pressure stays elevated through the night, and research has connected this non-dipping pattern directly to higher risk of heart attack and stroke. Here is what drives it: elevated stress hormones overnight, high cortisol, unstable blood sugar. Exactly what you have been trying to solve with better sleep habits, and nothing has worked. Research published in the journal Hypertension found a direct relationship between overnight glycemic stability and healthier nocturnal blood pressure patterns. When blood sugar holds steady, cortisol stays low. When cortisol stays low, blood pressure dips properly. When blood pressure dips properly, your heart does its repair work the way it is supposed to. That small spoonful of peanut butter before bed is quietly doing something for your heart that no one ever bothered to connect for you. Now. Let me tell you what happened with Sandra. She was skeptical. I will not pretend otherwise. She is a practical woman. She spent 3 decades sorting and delivering mail in all weather. She did not come to me looking for miracle cures. She came looking for something that actually worked. She tried it for 1 week. 1 tablespoon of natural peanut butter, 30 minutes before bed. No banana, no toast, just the spoonful. The first 2 nights, nothing obvious changed. She noted this in the little calendar she keeps by her bed. The 3rd night, she slept until 4:30 before waking. That was 90 minutes longer than usual. By the end of the first week, she was waking up once instead of 3 times. She messaged me at the end of week 2. She wrote, "I know this sounds absurd, but I have not seen the inside of my ceiling at 2 in the morning in 11 days. What did you do?" What I did was explain her own biology to her. That is it. Now here is what I need to tell you before you start this protocol, because most people who try something new quit after 3 days. Not because it does not work, because nobody prepares them for what the first week actually feels like. Week 1. Honestly, you may not notice much. Your body has been in the same cortisol alarm wake-up cycle for months or years. Patterns that deep take time to unwind. You might still wake up once or twice. That is normal. Do not stop. What you might notice in week 1 is that when you do wake up, you fall back asleep faster. The alarm was quieter. The cortisol hit was lower. That is the peanut butter working. It is just working at the edges first. Week 2 is where most people feel the first real shift. The middle of the night wakings begin to space out. Instead of 2:15 every single night, it becomes 2:15 on Monday and 4 o'clock on Thursday. The pattern breaks. Week 3 is what I think of as the breakthrough week. Most patients who reach week 3 call or message me around this time. they sound different, lighter. They say things like, "I forgot what it felt like to wake up, not exhausted." That is week 3. If you quit at day 4, you will never know week 3 exists. Week 4 and beyond, the changes compound. Morning stiffness decreases. Mental clarity improves. Energy holds steadier through the afternoon. Because your body has been getting the deep sleep, it needs to do the repair work it has been trying to do for years. I know some of you are already thinking of reasons this will not work for you specifically, and I want to address those directly. Because your skepticism is healthy, and you deserve real answers. You might be thinking, this sounds too simple. I hear this constantly. My answer is always the same. Simple does not mean ineffective. Your body is running millions of chemical processes simultaneously every night. Some of the most powerful interventions for those processes are also the simplest. A stable blood sugar gradient overnight is not a complicated pharmacological intervention. It is chemistry. And chemistry does not care about how simple the solution sounds. You might be thinking, my doctor would have told me this already. Here is what I need you to understand about the medical system, and I want to be careful here, because I am not criticizing your doctor personally. Your physician is working within a structure that gives them 7 minutes per appointment. Nutritional interventions for sleep quality do not have a billing code. They do not generate prescription revenue. They do not require a follow-up visit to adjust dosing. The system is not designed to deliver this kind of information, even when the research clearly supports it. This is not your doctor's fault. This is a structural problem. And it is exactly why videos like this one matter. You might be thinking, what about my specific health conditions? This is important. I need to be direct with you. If you are managing type 2 diabetes with insulin or medications like metformin, a bedtime snack changes your overnight blood sugar dynamics in ways your healthcare provider needs to know about. Do not add this without that conversation first. If you have acid reflux or GERD, high-fat foods within an hour of lying down can worsen symptoms. Start with half a tablespoon and see how your body responds. Or talk to your doctor first. If you have a peanut allergy, do not eat peanut butter. This should be obvious, but I will say it anyway. Almond butter provides very similar benefits. Sunflower seed butter works if you need a nut-free option. If you are on blood thinners like warfarin, peanut butter itself is not a significant concern, but any dietary change that affects your eating patterns consistently should be mentioned to your prescribing physician. For most healthy adults over 60, with no significant complicating conditions, this habit is safe, beneficial, and straightforward. But your doctor knows your specific situation in ways that I cannot from a video. Bring what you have learned here to your next appointment. A good physician will welcome that conversation. Now let me give you the practical protocol. Because information without action is just interesting. And I want this to actually change something for you. The right amount is 1 to 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter. That is 90 to 190 calories. Not a meal. Not a snack. A targeted dose of exactly what your body needs to get through the night. Timing matters. Eat it 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to go to bed. Not right as you are climbing under the covers. Your digestive system needs a short window to begin processing, so the glucose release is timed correctly for the period when your blood sugar would otherwise begin to fall. Now let me give you 3 ways to eat it that actually improve the results. The first combination is peanut butter with banana, half a medium banana, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. The banana brings potassium and magnesium, both of which support overnight muscle relaxation and reduce the likelihood of those middle-of-the-night leg cramps. Bananas also contain a small amount of tryptophan, adding to the melatonin support pathway. The two together create a smooth, sustained glucose curve that holds through most of the night. The second combination is peanut butter on a slice of whole grain toast. The toast adds slow-digesting complex carbohydrates that feed beneficial gut bacteria, support serotonin production, and extend the glucose release window further. This works particularly well for people who tend to wake up feeling hungry, or for those who are moderately active. 1 slice of real whole grain bread, not the light fluffy kind that digests in 20 minutes, with 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. The third combination is peanut butter with apple slices, half an apple, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. This is the combination I most often recommend for people who are watching their caloric intake carefully. The apple is high in pectin, a soluble fiber that slows sugar absorption beautifully, preventing any blood sugar spike from the fruit itself. The combination is light, satisfying, and metabolically smart, around 140 calories total, Rotate between all three across the week. Variety keeps the habit sustainable. It also ensures you are getting slightly different nutrient profiles on different nights, which is never a bad thing. Here is what to look for on the label, and this part matters more than most people realize. The peanut butter aisle at your grocery store is full of products that will actively undermine everything I just explained. Commercial brands frequently contain high fructose corn syrup or added sugar, partially hydrogenated oils or fully hydrogenated oils, and flavor additives that spike blood sugar and promote the exact inflammatory response you are trying to reduce. If you see the words partially hydrogenated or fully hydrogenated anywhere on that ingredient list, put it back. Those oils have no place in a bedtime protocol for your heart or your sleep. Real natural peanut butter has two ingredients: peanuts, sometimes salt. Yes, the oil separates. Yes, you have to stir it. That separation is not a flaw. That is the sign of actual food. Store it upside down if you want to make the stirring easier, but do not avoid it. Check the label, not the front of the jar. The front of the jar will say words like natural or wholesome or heart healthy. The ingredient list is the truth. And one more thing that I almost forgot to mention: muscle repair. Your muscles do not rebuild at the gym. They rebuild while you sleep. Every walk you took today, every flight of stairs, every time you reached for something on a high shelf, those movements created tiny micro-stresses in your muscle fibers. Your body repairs those fibers overnight, building them back slightly stronger. After 60, this repair process faces a significant obstacle. Scientists call it anabolic resistance. Your muscles become less responsive to protein. The same protein intake that maintained your muscle mass at 40 is not enough at 65. Your body needs protein delivered more strategically, including during the night when the repair is actually happening. 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter provide approximately 7 to 8 grams of protein. At night, when your body is in active repair mode, even that amount makes a measurable contribution to the amino acid pool your muscles need to rebuild. A landmark study published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that protein consumed before sleep significantly improved overnight muscle protein synthesis in older adults. The effect was specific to older adults, not younger. The researchers speculated that nighttime protein delivery partially compensates for the anabolic resistance that comes with age. If you wake up with that heavy, creaky, stiff feeling, and it takes 30 or 40 minutes before your body feels operational again, your muscles may not be getting the overnight repair support they need. This is one of the most direct things you can do to change that. Now let me bring everything together, because I want you to leave this video with a clear picture of what one simple habit can actually do for your body while you sleep. Natural peanut butter stabilizes your blood sugar overnight. This keeps your stress hormones quiet, which means no cortisol alarm going off at 2 in the morning, which means you stay in deep restorative sleep instead of getting yanked out of it. It supports your brain's own melatonin production by delivering tryptophan with the healthy fat that helps carry it across the blood-brain barrier. You are not taking a sleep supplement. You are giving your brain what it needs to make its own. The magnesium in peanut butter calms your parasympathetic nervous system, quiets the mental chatter through GABA regulation, and supports healthy heart rhythm. Those middle-of-the-night heart palpitations and leg cramps have a nutritional component that is not mysterious. The protein supports overnight muscle repair, directly addressing the anabolic resistance that makes mornings feel so hard after 60. The monounsaturated fats reduce overnight inflammation, which translates into less morning stiffness and clearer thinking when you wake up. And through the mechanism of blood sugar and cortisol stabilization, it supports healthier nocturnal blood pressure patterns, which means your heart gets the nighttime rest it is designed to have. All of that, from 1 to 2 tablespoons, 30 to 60 minutes before bed, 4 to 5 nights a week. Consistency matters more than perfection here. 4 nights out of 7, done every week, will produce far better results than 10 days in a row, followed by stopping because life got busy. Small and consistent is the entire game after 60. Sandra, by the way, is still doing it. She told me recently that she stopped thinking of it as a protocol. She just thinks of it as the thing she does before bed, like brushing her teeth, like taking her evening walk around the block. It is just part of the routine now. Her words were, "I got my sleep back. I did not know how much I had lost until I got it back." You deserve to say the same thing. Your body is doing extraordinary work every single night, rebuilding your muscles fiber by fiber, cleaning metabolic waste from your brain, resetting your hormones, repairing the damage of the day. It is asking for one thing in return: the right fuel, at the right time. Today you have learned something real, not vague advice about sleep hygiene or cutting off screens. Actual biology. The mechanism behind why you wake up at 2. The chain from tryptophan to serotonin to melatonin. The connection between magnesium and the leg cramps your doctor calls normal. The way nocturnal blood pressure dipping actually works. You now understand your own body in a way that most people never get explained to them. So act on it. 1 tablespoon tonight. See what week 3 feels like. If this video helped you, I want you to do one thing. Type the words "I am starting tonight" in the comments below, and then share this video with one person. 1. Your spouse, your sister, your friend who has been complaining about their sleep for years. They will not find this on their own, but you can put it in front of them in 30 seconds. Do not let anyone tell you it is too late, because it is not. Now, next week, I am going to show you something that directly connects to everything you learned today. There are 5 common breakfast mistakes that people over 60 make every single morning that undo the overnight repair work your body just spent 8 hours doing. One of them involves something you almost certainly eat or drink before 9 in the morning, and it is not what you would guess. That video is coming next week. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss it. I will see you there.